All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a skill that is totally changing the game, the art of the prompt.
Have you ever done this? You ask an AI for something incredible, something amazing, and you get back, well, this. You know that feeling, right? You've got this brilliant idea, you feed it to the AI, and what comes out is just, meh. It's kind of generic, maybe totally unhelpful, or it just completely misses the point. It's a frustration we've all felt in this new AI world.
But here's the thing, and this is the big secret. The problem usually isn't the AI. It's us. It's how we're talking to it. See, the quality of what you get out is almost always a direct reflection of the quality of what you put in, your prompt. So if you want to get those mind-blowing results, it's all about learning to ask in a much, much smarter way.
Okay, so let's dive right in. First things first, we've got to build a solid foundation. These are the core principles that are going to immediately level up your entire prompting game.
So, you can think of these 5 principles as your essential starter pack. First up, task specification. You have to be explicit. Don't just hint at what you want. Tell the AI exactly what to do. Summarize this article. Translate this phrase. Write me some code. Crystal clear. Next, you need contextual guidance. This is huge. You got to give it the why behind the what. So if you're asking for a marketing email, you better tell it who the audience is, what the product is, all that good stuff. If you don't, you're just going to get something bland and generic. Then we have framing. This is all about setting boundaries, Giving the AI a box to play in. Tell it, I need a 100-word summary, or write this in a formal professional tone. Next, domain expertise. If you're working in a specialized field, you've got to use the right language. Use the jargon. If you're asking about medicine or law, be precise with your terms, and you'll get precise answers back. And finally, and this one is so important, bias mitigation. You can actually steer the AI toward fairness. You can literally just tell it, hey, provide a balanced, neutral overview of this topic. It's a powerful way to guide the output. Okay, so once you've got that foundation down, we can move on to the really cool stuff. Let's call them the power moves. These are 3 advanced prompting patterns that are going to let you tackle way more complex problems. So first up is what's called the interview pattern. And this one is so cool because it completely flips the script. Instead of you just barking commands at the AI, you actually prompt it to become an interviewer. It starts asking you the questions to figure out what it needs to know. And just look at this example. It's a perfect illustration of how you flip that script. You're not just saying, hey, plan me a trip. No. You're giving the AI a whole persona. You will act as a seasoned travel expert. And then you're telling it to lead the conversation by asking you the questions first. It is an absolute game changer for getting personalized results.
And here's what happens next. The AI doesn't just guess what you might want. It becomes a real collaborator. It starts firing off these smart, targeted questions. What kind of places do you like? What do you want to do? What's your budget? The key is, it's gathering all of that crucial information before it even starts to build the itinerary. And what does that mean? It means the final plan is going to be perfectly, and I mean perfectly, tailored just for you.
All right, so the interview pattern is amazing for gathering information, but what if the problem itself is tricky? What if it needs some real complex reasoning? Well, for that, we've got our next power move, chain of thought. This technique is brilliant. It literally forces the AI to show its work, to think through a problem one logical step at a time.
And there are basically 2 flavors of this. The first is called few shot. This is where you actually give the AI an example of the reasoning process right there in the prompt. You're basically showing it how to think. Then there's zero shot, which is kind of the opposite. You don't give it any examples. You just add a super simple phrase, something like, let's think step by step, and that little nudge is often all it needs to start breaking down the logic on its own.
And this is where the magic really happens. Look at this. You show it the problem with the oranges, and you walk it through the logic, step by step. Now, when you give it a totally new problem, about pen cases this time, it doesn't just guess. It follows the exact same logical path it just learned from the oranges example. See, it's not just copying the answer, it's actually learning the process. How cool is that?
Okay, on to our final and, I'd say, most advanced pattern. This one's for those really messy, really open-ended problems. The ones where there's no single right answer. It's called tree of thought. And the name is perfect because it prompts the AI to explore and evaluate a bunch of different reasoning paths all at once, just like branches growing out from a tree.
And this right here is a perfect example. A 20% drop in sales? That's not a simple problem. It could be caused by a million different things. So instead of just asking for one solution, the prompt pushes the AI to think way bigger. It says, hey, think of 3 possible reasons and explore solutions for all of them.
And look at the kind of response you get. This isn't just a random list of ideas. It's a full-on strategic framework. For every potential cause it identified, conversion rates, pricing, market factors, it maps out a corrective strategy and an action plan. You're basically getting a diagnostic tool and a strategic roadmap, all from one prompt.
Okay, so we've got these 3 really powerful patterns in our toolkit now: the interview, chain of thought, and tree of thought. But the big question is, how do you know which one to use and when? Well, the key is to shift your mindset. You got to stop thinking like a casual user and start thinking more like a strategist.
So before you even type a single word, you should run through a quick mental checklist. Ask yourself these 4 questions. First, what's my actual objective here? Am I just trying to get a simple summary, or am I trying to generate some really complex code? Second, what is this particular AI model really good at? What are its strengths? Third, how much context does this task really need to succeed? And last, but definitely not least, what's my game plan for tweaking and refining this prompt if the first try doesn't quite hit the mark?
So here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're using the interview pattern or building out a complex tree of thought. All of these powerful techniques, they all boil down to the same fundamental components. It all comes down to one simple, really easy to remember framework.
And that framework is the 3 C's. It's that simple. First, clarity. Be incredibly clear in what you're asking for. Second, context. Give the AI enough background so it knows what world it's operating in. And third, features. Describe the features of the output you want. What's the format, the tone, the length? If you can nail those 3 things, clarity, context, and features, you are absolutely on your way to mastering the art of the prompt.
You know, when you step back and look at all this, what we're really talking about is a fundamental shift in how we interact with technology. We're moving away from just being passive question askers, and we're becoming active directors. It's not just about getting answers anymore, it's about shaping a whole new kind of conversation.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty big question to chew on. As this ability to clearly communicate our intent to machines becomes more and more critical, is prompting about to become the next universal human skill? Right up there with reading and writing. Definitely something to think about.